there. Thank you guys for joining me today. I am here with Jay Larson, the founder of Lights On Coaching and Consulting. He is out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, although I'm sure he works all over the world because we have this awesome virtual opportunity these days. Thanks so much for being with me today, Jay. How are you doing?
Hi, my pleasure. I'm doing great. It's 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I'm getting ready for turkey.
Oh, that's right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So how about we just start with a little bit of your background? Tell
Sure.
us, as I talk on most of my episodes, I love to talk about how it started and then how it's going and talk about kind of the journey that you've taken over the years to get to where you are today. So,
Cool.
yeah, share a little bit about you with me and the audience, and how you got from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. Great. And you said the time limit's 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So yeah, started I'm born and raised in the Burnsville, Minneapolis area. I live about 6 miles from where I grew up. Never really had a reason to leave. Have traveled the world with my wife of 30, coming up 34 years. So that's great. I have 4 children, all grown and out of the house. I have one grandbaby and one on the way.
Wow.
So preparing also for a wedding this January. So exciting times, but busy times.
Fun.
Yeah, in the Larson household. We don't have a dining room right now. That's wedding central. So all of that jazz. So yeah, so I came up through Burnsville. Love playing sports, love being outdoors, activity. And I always classify myself as somebody that really loves learning, but always hated school.
Okay, yeah.
And so 3 of my children are not like that, and one is. So we have a whole mix
Yeah.
of in the family. My wife is a fabulous student. So, anyways, going through kind of work and that traditional upbringing, had both parents. Everybody, dad was, he barely got to go to college, so everybody was going to college.
Uh-huh.
So I did. I went to college at the University of Minnesota. I think I failed 3 out of my 5 first classes at the University of Minnesota. Was not applying myself, did not like it,
Yeah.
couldn't figure it out, that sort of thing. Kind of backed up, zoomed out a little bit, got back into some things that I liked, and I kind of knew I wanted to have a degree of some sort. So kind of, you know, 5 years at a 4-year college to my way through that.
Yeah.
Met my wife in college. She was a fabulous student, like I said. So got kind of A's and B's once I met her.
Oh,
So
nice.
classic story there. So after that, kind of went into just general things after taking a long trip to Europe with my wife after college, kind of backpacking around, as we
Yeah.
were talking about
What
before.
did you study
Um,
though, college?
Oh yeah, sure. I got my degree in communications and I was trying to get into the School of Journalism, but just didn't quite make it. So I just kind of
Communication.
graduated.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think it was
communications.
in the
Yeah,
6-year plan.
general.
No, I get it.
Yes. Yeah. So after that, it became kind of like working in the printing industry, working for paper companies, selling to the printing industry, mainly sales. For all that time, I was always told, you have the personality for sales. You should be a salesperson. And that's great. What you realize after 10 years of slamming your head against that is that there's a grind to
Mhm.
sales that I wasn't prepared for. So that was kind of like job after job after job after job. Stayed a while at different places, but usually made some kind of career-ending decision, you know, or
Yeah.
something. So, so kind of moved on, and in I think it was 2001. Was it 2001? I think it was 2001. I was let go from a particular job, and that had me thinking, and I had to really think about, where do I want to work? I had 4 small children,
Yeah.
my wife took care of them. So it was kind of, what do I really want to do? And what are some cool places that I've seen? So I walked into one place called Chart House Learning in Burnsville, and they created what's known worldwide as the fish philosophy. Have you
Okay.
heard of the fish philosophy? And I don't know, some people in your audience may have heard of it. It's a little old now, but the fish philosophy was created by John Christensen in from Chart House Learning, and it's all video of the guys at the Pike Place Market, and they're throwing the fish
Oh,
around, but it was really what it was really about is engaging in your work. And that really took hold for me. I started selling that. And then one day I got an opportunity. I was selling other speakers and videos and books and things like that. And a particular place, I forget the name of the place, but it was a retirement home, I think in Eagan, Minnesota, that said, we can't afford that speaker rate. And I was like, can you afford half? And they were like, yes, we can afford half. And I'm like, do you mind a rookie coming out and delivering it? And they said, sure. I'd had a little bit of stage time. I was a worship leader back in the day, so I was kind of familiar with being on stage. And I kind of love the public speaking
um,
thing, oddball that way.
as a
Um,
salesperson, you're kind of natural talking to other
yeah,
people, right? So it wasn't
yeah,
a
all the
huge
time.
stretch.
Yep. So I delivered that. I think I said okay 1,001 times during that presentation and got feedback on that. But that started a road for me where I ended up teaching that philosophy and talking about that philosophy with distributors, etc. in South Africa, Japan, um, boy, all over the place. It was just a wonderful time. But I was away from my family a lot,
Yeah.
and some things were going on at the company that I didn't necessarily agree with. So when I was recruited by a company called Lominger, I moved on and thought, that makes sense because it's the same kind of thing, getting the right people in the right seats at organizations so that they can be engaged in their work and organizations can thrive. And so that started my 14-year run at Corn Ferry,
Okay.
which at Lominger had been purchased in 2006. So that's what I did there. It was kind of hybrid between coaching and consulting and selling and teaching and facilitating and all of that. So I was really loving that for a
Mhm.
long time. And I really love what they do and what they have available for organizations to use. So I just ended up separating with them in May.
This
Uh,
was
this May, yep, this
okay.
May. And I had my Lights On LLC already built because this was the off ramp. This was kind of what I wanted to do over the end of my career that wasn't really going to end.
Yeah.
I kind of see doing coaching and facilitation and that kind of work till I can't.
Right.
Mm. Or till my wife says don't anymore,
Yeah.
and we're going to travel. So that's kind of what I'm building right now. And I'm building that in a number of ways, but that got me to where I am, that love of kind of, and I realized probably about 6 years ago, to get to the name of the organization, I realized that out of everything I was doing in sales or delivery or consulting or anything, it was about the phrase turning the lights on for people, for
Mhm.
individuals and organizations. That's where that comes from. That kind of became my purpose. And so now that's my why for getting up in the morning and calling bunches of people and working with folks and trying to turn the lights on.
Who do you like when you say lights on, here's what I think of. There's two things I think of, but the one I think of is like
Yeah.
the light bulb goes off. Is that kind of your meaning
Yeah, no,
behind
it's
it?
not so much. Yeah, I would think that's more like an innovation kind of mindset around it. For me, it's really you're trying to do your job or you're trying to do your life or your organization, but you're kind of not stumbling around in the dark. I don't want to make it seem like clients don't know what they're doing. They do, right? But there's always that next level, that upping your game as a leader, there that accelerating towards your business goals, that maybe I just can't figure out these people problems that I've got. Why isn't anybody engaged? Or why do I keep getting pulled into the fires every day instead of being able to advance my business? And things like so, helping people through coaching, facilitating content, having group sessions where we feed off each other's perspective, those kinds of things I think really help individuals to turn the lights on and kind of show that path
I
forward
see.
a little bit
Okay.
more clearly.
Light the way.
Yeah. Yeah, light the way. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
got it. So,
By the way, I'm gonna use that on the website once I do
yeah,
that.
do it. Write it down. On your bio information, you talked a lot. So, what you talked about, like coaching, you are a great facilitator, right? You don't
Yeah.
necessarily, what I've learned along the way is sometimes people just need someone to hold space for them and listen and
Hmm.
guide them to what they already know. Like,
Yeah.
usually don't have to, I'm not teaching someone something.
Yeah.
It's exactly like what you're saying, except mine is more like the light bulb going off. Like, oh,
Okay.
yes, I see it because most of the people I work with, they already know, but they almost need
Yeah.
permission or validation
Yeah.
or just the guidance to get to that conclusion themselves. You
Yeah.
also talk about you do a lot with assessments and
Mhm.
competency. So, what
Yeah.
is that? How do you use those things to
Yeah.
get
That
good
was
results for your clients?
that was a lot of work I did at Corn Ferry, and I'm continuing to do some of that work with Corn Ferry as in a contractor mode. So the way that works is typically when you do assessments, you know 360s, right? And but Corn Ferry has a lot of psychometric
Mhm.
assessments that get at more of the natural traits and natural kind of tendencies and motivators for people. Um, I think a lot of times, one of the things, one of the stories I tell about a particular individual that I coached once was that we had an assessment that would kind of it would kind of rate your learning agility, right? Your ability to know what to do when you don't know what to do.
Uh-huh.
Right? Is that something that's strong or not so much? Whatever. And so on one side is structure, and on one side is kind of creativity. You kind of That's a very general high
Yeah.
level. So this person came to the session for the debrief, and they were very oriented around structure from the assessment, but they didn't agree with that. They said, "No, I go out to eat to a different place every week. My husband and I have had this going forever." And was talking about all the new things they do and all the new and different that they try. And it was interesting because I was like, "Well, how do you do that? How do you do the new and different?" And she says, "Well, one week I pick, the next week he picks. We can't go back more than 6 months to a same place that we've already been. We have to try a different genre of food or a different genre of entertainment." And I was like, "Do you see how much structure you
Yeah.
have in trying your new and different?" And
Yeah.
that's what I mean by kind of turning the lights on with assessments, because she was like, "Oh, wow. Yeah, so that doesn't mean I don't try new things. It's just how I'm doing them,
Yeah.
how I tend to act when new and different comes. Yeah, you structure it, right? So it
Yeah.
makes sense. So that made total sense. So that's a great example of how assessments can kind of light that path
Uh-huh.
for you to understand yourself a little bit more. And I love the self awareness that comes out of those situations. It's similar to what you were talking about. I just love those situations where somebody's like, "I always kind of knew that. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of, yeah, I get it. I get it. That is me, you know?"
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I mean by assessment. And competencies were just human behavior at work is pretty well known, like how we show up. I liken competency models, especially the Corn Ferry one. I liken that to a library where,
Mhm.
depending on what's you've got to write a paper on, you go and pull certain books, right? Well, depending on the job you want done in alignment with the organization's strategy and direction, you want to pull certain behaviors.
Yeah.
And so that can be inserted into interviewing, that can be inserted into promotion and succession and development, etc.
Yeah. Do you use AI in any of the things you do with your clients?
Some, yes, some from a standpoint of summarizing notes.
Uh-huh.
I'm using AI in part to kind of create different communications, polish them really,
Mhm.
is what I like. I'm a child of the Terminator 80s, and
Yeah.
so I get a little bit worried with that kind of thing, but it's going to be a great tool for us, but it's going to shift. It's going to shift a lot of things.
Do you see your clients that you work with having an adversity towards it as well? Or is it even a thing that comes up in the work that you do?
Yeah, it's interesting. My client base has shifted quite a bit since May, and so now I'm kind of talking to smaller and mid-sized organizations,
Uh-huh.
whereas with Korn Ferry, we're working with Fortune 500. So that was big on AI, big on conferences,
Yeah.
big on you got to know what's going on. Whereas this is kind of they're using it in a lot of the same ways I am, right? Not necessarily, I would say, monetizing it,
Mhm.
perhaps, but more using it as a tool from an efficiency standpoint.
Yeah.
That's what I'm noticing most of all.
Yeah. So what I use it some. I'm kind of in the same
Hmm.
boat, right? I don't need to automate everything. I don't need it to check my email for me or anything like that. But I also love assessments of all kinds. And I created an AI tool to help people interpret their own assessment results and have
Oh, wow.
conversation with AI about themselves.
Okay.
So it can analyze uh, any major assessment, including some of the woo-woo ones like human design or gene keys. I'm fascinated with all of that stuff,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
wonderful because once you can teach it to know really about who you are based off
Mhm.
of your assessments, because you could take a DISC assessment,
Mhm.
just as an example, when you're
Mhm.
30 years old. And the results when you're 50 are not gonna be that different, right? So, I've
Mhm.
learned that throughout, like, with strength finders or all these other interesting ones. It doesn't matter, like, where you are in your life when you're taking the test, those are kind of your inherent qualities. So,
Yeah.
chat will be able to talk to you about decisions you wanna make, if it's kind of in alignment with what it says. So, a
Right.
lot of times with competency, like you're talking about, people get or one thing you said too, which I wrote down, is whenever you got out of school, out of college, people around you were telling you what they think you should do.
Yes.
And we listen to that a lot, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah. It
listen to that.
informs us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so you do those things, you go into it like, "Oh, yeah, everybody says I am good at this, I should do this," and you get into it and you're like,
Right.
not quite as fulfilled as you wanna be, or you
Yeah.
know, like, you should be doing maybe something else. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it helps you so the AI tool helps you be able to have a conversation like, "Hey, so I'm up for this promotion," or I'm thinking about going on my own," like you did. It
Mhm.
really am I gonna
That
make
makes sense to me. It's
so
right.
it's
Or
really
what will
cool.
the challenges
Yeah,
be?
it's
Yeah.
cool to have that conversation with a
Yeah.
computer, and all it's doing is pulling in data. It's not like it doesn't
Yeah.
know you, but if you've gotten
Right.
those assessments back, they're books of information that you have to
Yeah.
disseminate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one way that I've used it. It's fun to get creative in ways to be able to incorporate AI into
Yes.
your coaching or into how other people, just regular people, can use it without going nuts with,
We're going to have to. We're going to have to. It's AI is part of the future, whether we like it or not.
yeah.
And so might as well like it. You
Yeah,
know, I'm
but
I'm always very pleasant to AI when I type things. I say,
yeah,
please and thank you.
please.
You know, I'm gonna be a good
Yeah, for sure. Uh,
yeah.
I think too, I have this conversation a lot with people, and it always comes back to being able to incorporate it in what you do, but also keep the humanness to what you're doing. One
Mhm.
conversation I had recently, we talk about B2B or B2C when we talk about selling things or marketing to companies or selling our own products. And she is a copywriter, and she said it's all about H to H. And I love it because it's
Mhm.
human to human. So whether
Right.
we can use the tools that are available, of course, we're going to use them. But when it comes down to actually making a big impact, I feel like the
Mhm.
H2H will be the winner. And I don't know. I'm sure you
Absolutely.
feel
And
that. I think you feel the same way,
yes.
especially just hearing how
One of
you
the
use it.
one of the examples of that is something we talk about in assessment certifications when we're training coaches to deliver the debriefs and that is the data is great, right? The data, it's right. Okay, assessments are good these days. There's a lot of offshoots that are just kind of shooting from the hip,
Yeah.
right? But the real assessments that are out there, like DISC and other things, they're accurate. Okay, so the question is then, so what?
Yeah.
So what if it's right? So let's say I'm high in loving the new and different, and I'm big on work-life balance. Well, what does that mean, right? So
Mhm.
the human coach comes in to put that in perspective in the context, right? So we talk about data being queen, if you will, in a deck of cards. Great, high card, right? But context is king,
Yeah.
right? It
Just
just
like you do
bases
with the
out just a little
woman,
bit.
with the creativity and
Yep.
the
Put
structure.
it in
You are,
context.
yes. That's not
Yep, to
something that you
derive the
can,
meaning.
yeah, you'll get the results to be like, no, that's not me. That has to be wrong. I'm
Yeah,
a
you
decision
might
a bad made that
disagree.
day.
Yeah, exactly. But I love the idea that you're talking about the human to human puts it in context.
Right. And
Like,
that's
how do
the
you
thing.
feel about
Yeah.
that?
I love
Why
it.
do you feel that way? Because daddy said I should be an accountant,
Right.
or something like that. It's that doesn't mean you should be an accountant.
Right. Yeah. It's absolutely true. Like, just like you said, you have 4 children and 3 of them went the college route. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what you meant, and 1 didn't. So
Mhm.
the beauty of it is they don't have to.
They don't
And
have to.
but
Yeah,
if
it's okay.
back in the day, though, they would've. Right?
Yeah, you would have stuck it out. You would have, and honestly, probably had a horrible experience.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and look back on that as you're older and go, like for me, I'm glad at where I'm at. College helped make me what I am. Right, my whole existence has made me what I am today. So I'm happy with that.
yeah,
But when I look back, it's kind of like, maybe I should have gone into the army, instead of the college and gotten that discipline that kind of,
right.
I would have needed it beaten into me, at that point, because I
Yeah,
was avoiding it at all costs.
yeah. I think it's powerful, though, to be able to listen to what people say to you. They're coming from usually a
Hmm.
place of love. It's say, "You should do
Yeah.
this." They see something in you. But to be able to take that and discern it and do and still make your own decision about
Yeah.
what's best for you. Of course, assessments
Mhm.
help with that, self-awareness helps with that, but also being able to have, a conversation with someone like you that can guide them along that path,
Just
whether they're in a
really open
corporation
them
or
up.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. Open them up and allow them to be their true, authentic selves.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I hate that, you know, um,
I know. Yeah, like, some people suggest things to me even still now, and I just turn my nose up. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. Why don't you go do this?" Or, "Why don't you look for this?" I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh,
You
okay."
should. I know what you should do. You should.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to
Yeah.
help, and
Yeah, it's
as
great.
an entrepreneur, you are now an entrepreneur. You may have
Yeah. How
always
about that?
been, but now you're
Yeah.
full on because you're
Yeah.
you're on your own. People want to help for like, they just love you and they care about you and they want to give their ideas, but nobody really understands the mind of the entrepreneur, the journey more than another entrepreneur. They
Yeah.
just,
Absolutely.
there's so many opportunities out there for whether you want to go into the corporate job space or on your own. And
Right.
so, how did you decide to leave a really great place that you liked and go on your own?
Yeah. It was. I had the thought again about turning the lights on. Right. This was 5, 6 years ago that I went this route, and I went poking around a little bit about different ways I could do that. At a little bit after that, I went in and got my coaching license and through IPEC.
Mhm.
And one of their slogan really hit me when I was looking at it, and they were talking about advancing the consciousness of the world one person at a time, right? And I just loved that idea. That's what I was trying to do with the team of sellers that reported to me and with clients that would talk. And so I was really loving the conversations about what could be and what was going to be allowed at certain organizations and the hurdles that they were up against and that sort of thing. But I didn't have a lot of control to take the solutions where they maybe needed to go in a
Right.
lot of ways. Right? A lot of pressure on numbers in corporate America
Mhm.
for all good reasons. I invest, you probably invest. We want them to make their numbers, right? So we're both the cause and the recipient in
Yeah.
a lot of ways to what we deal with in corporate. But what I realized was I want to kind of pull back from the so much the Fortune 500 complex systems of doing that as a full-time thing. I still dabble there,
Yeah.
but I love that mid cap. I love that small business where you've got plumbers that just really love doing what they're doing. I love, construction CEOs that just love building and they didn't sign on for all this, but now they've got a $13 million organization
Right.
that they've got to be the CEO of, and
Yeah.
own it and take it into the future.
It's a
And
whole new
so
skill set, right?
whole new skill
Yes.
set. Yeah. So having a coach that has seen it from different sides and things like that. So that was and honestly, I'm looking at 5, 6 years till the real numbers kick in for me age wise.
Yeah.
And it's like I wanted to find something. I wasn't going to do corporate. I was maybe going to hang on and do that for another 4 or 5 years, that kind of thing. But it just became a situation where no, that's not going to work out, and it didn't. And and so now I get to do this, and now I don't think in terms of 5 years. I think of I'm waking up in the morning and I
That's
come down
amazing.
and do this thing, and I don't know that I'll stop. I'll
Mhm.
probably lessen,
Right.
and
Yeah,
go
but you
golfing
have
and
the
friends.
autonomy and you have the ability now to choose. And just like you said, you guys are going to travel and do things, you can still
Yep.
do that
Yes.
while
Right.
growing your business at the same time. I think
Right.
it's amazing to have that
Yes.
opportunity. Who are the you kind of mentioned a few, but I just want you to
Mhm.
clarify for us. Who
Yes.
are the people that you love to work with? Or if
Yeah.
someone's looking for something and they're just not quite sure what they need, like they know they need some kind of help, but so who
Yeah.
are your people?
So there's really two directions I go with that, with the kind of how I've organized my business. Well, three. One, I contract back with Corn Ferry, and I still do certifications and teaching and things. I love it. I love it, right? Because I love that material. And then in the one area with Lights On, the coaching and consulting business, I'm looking at honestly, I haven't really found the niche there yet, but what I think is a couple of angles there is the mid-size organizations that can't afford a global
Yeah.
organization to do debriefs, but they don't want to necessarily learn it themselves. So I can come in and help with some of those programmatic facilitation, leadership development things. So that's one area that I haven't really gone after hard yet, but I've got a couple clients in that regard. And then the individual coaching I just love, and that can be literally, I would do that for free for the rest of my life. I mean, it's just something where if somebody comes and is authentic and open and willing to be challenged, I mean, I'm your huckleberry. I mean,
Yeah.
I am there, right? Like for sure. And then the other side is I'm building out what is called a peer group of CEOs and business leaders in my local area here in Minneapolis. And I've partnered with Vistage to do that.
Oh, perfect.
And so a group of CEOs that become a sounding board and work with and for one another to up their leadership game
Yeah.
and accelerate their business.
That's amazing. And also build some of those relationships that could be
Yeah.
lacking.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you're a high profile and a very busy person, that tends to go to the wayside unless
Yes.
you
You
have a
feel
strong
very
golf
lonely.
game or something like, and that's
Mhm. Yeah.
your thing. Something that you mentioned offline was a nonprofit that you have.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Share a little bit about that because yes, work is
Sure.
great, family is amazing, but then you also have a passion project,
Yeah.
on top of your passion for helping others. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So aside from, I lead a men's group of young believers at church and stuff, and we talk all the time. And that again is just a group of people that get together and talk faith, right? What questions do you have, and what do you doubt, and what do you love, and all that kind of stuff. So I love being authentic there too. But this nonprofit, I got involved with this. He wasn't a friend of mine at the time. I knew him, but I didn't even know if I liked him. And he ended up telling me the same story when I called him. I knew that we had gotten together. Our wives had seen each other in a football game, a high school football game, something like that. We had gone to church together a long time ago, and I called him up and asked him because I needed to get out and talk to some other men. I just
Yeah.
needed to, like, my gosh, it's so hard to have friends.
Yes.
It's really difficult for men to
As
do that.
as a man and as just an adult in general.
Adult period, right? Like, do I go to a meetup group? Geez, do I go to the bars? Yikes.
No.
All this kind of stuff. Like, so where do I find? So, anyways, I called him up and said, hey, do you just want to sit down and chat? And so we did. And he told me about some things he was doing with his son that was tended to be working. And his son was dealing with substance abuse.
Mhm.
Was in and out of the house, and it was just a really trying time for their whole family. And so when my friend Paul would take him out into, let's say, Colorado or up into the boundary waters of Minnesota and go do adventures, they would bond. They would
Yeah.
really get close. He would light up, like, with that sense of adventure that he needed in his life. And so Paul had started calling this Wild Hearts Adventures, right?
Um,
We're going on adventures where we access that wild heart that we have. And for me coming in, having had some struggles of my own, and our kids, we didn't have substance abuse, but there was always something.
yeah.
And seeing it happen, I had a lot of compassion for what was going on there. So we started working together on this, and now we have a board now, and we do probably 15 trips a year, where we do either a state park in Minnesota, or we do a trip to the Boundary Waters, or we have 2 or 3 or 4 trips that go out to mountains. So we go out to Colorado and get people that are in recovery and in sober living and things like that, regardless of how you say it. So Teen Challenge in Minnesota, the Recovery Cafe is another one. We also take international students that want to experience the wilderness of the United States, that they might be from China or India or something like that, where they don't necessarily have as much of that
Yeah.
as can least access. And so they'll come on these trips, and we go for a week backpacking into, like, Mount Holy Cross in Colorado, and we will summit. We'll get to the top of these mountains, and the impact. You talk about turning the lights on for somebody. And it's so interesting. There's so many metaphors for hiking and camping and being a team in the mountains with a leader that you have to listen to from a
Mhm.
safety perspective, right? So there's this it's almost like a little mini corporate walking through the woods, right? But it's as long as it's authentic and they care, like, it's about your safety, it's not about my ego,
Yeah.
right? And that sort of thing. The impact it makes when you see somebody shaking like a leaf to go that next 5 feet, where they have to go up a couple boulders to get to this summit, and to see them break down in tears on that summit, knowing that they pushed themselves and they did it. And long-term effects of that
Mhm.
are just amazing for folks in recovery. They realize that, wow, there's people in the world that actually care about
Mhm.
me. There's so many people that go through their whole life in that experience without realizing that, yeah, there's love out there and
Yeah.
people care about you. There's people that just like, well, if I can do this, okay, I can do anything. I've never slept in a tent overnight, and I'm standing on top of a 14,000-foot
Right.
peak,
Yeah.
breathing this clean air and seeing the whole world, and I can go back and I can get my kids back. I can become a manager at my job. I can hold that job. I can
Right.
get out of sober living and get on with my life, and do things like that. So it's just super fulfilling. It's called Wild Hearts Adventure. It's wildheartsadventure.org
Yeah, I'll
online.
make sure I put
I'll
all the
push it.
links for that.
Uh,
Is it
Perfect.
faith-based or is it agnostic?
Yeah, well, we do a bit of both, right? We just want people getting out there and
Yeah.
experiencing that kind of accomplishment. And we call it, our subtitle is Connection Through Adventure,
Okay.
right? So you connect with each other through that adventure. If you have faith, you're going to connect
Uh-huh.
with
Yeah.
with God or your higher power. And then you connect with the the smells and the softness of grass on a
Yeah.
mountainside, or a random field of wildflowers that's just growing there and nobody planted it.
Yeah.
It's just, does a wildflower grow in the woods if nobody sees it? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It's out there, so it's just this an amazing piece, or almost a medication,
Right.
right?
It
That
sounds
that people get.
wonderful.
Yeah.
How has your life changed since I mean, it sounds like you've gone through a lot of big changes over the past few months, just by going out on your own, but what big impact have you seen for yourself by being a part of something like that? That is really larger than yourself, right?
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
all about helping others. So how is
Yeah.
obviously your coaching business is about helping others, but for the nonprofit, that's on a whole nother level
Yeah.
of really impacting people. So how has that impacted you?
Yeah. Honestly, uh, I don't know that I could have said this completely. I probably did at times, right? Because I was at times, but during my corporate career, I don't think I was ever this happy.
Nice.
I think this my I told my daughter something when she co-guides with me on some of these trips, and she had to remind me one trip, and it was just this experience I remember. And it's this idea that sometimes when you're hiking with people and you're in these woods, especially on summit days, there's not a marked path per se. There's some kind of some wearing,
Mm.
and sometimes it's very clear, and sometimes it's just not. And what I had told her early on that she reminded me of, what, because I got really anxious one time because I was leading this group of 10 people. I'm halfway up this 14,000-foot peak. We've been going since 2 in the morning, walking, and I can't find the path. I can't find the trail. I went the wrong way around a boulder and it just like gone. And she was like, "Hey Dad, remember you told me, you know, just take the next couple steps and the path will likely appear to you." And I did. I walked up a couple more, and sure enough, the path was pretty clear once you kind of got over this rise. And I thought, first of all, mad respect for her to tell me that. And second of all, um, yeah, when life kind of throws you some things and that change hits, you know what? Take the next couple of steps. You don't have to know exactly where you're going, but I think Joyce Meyer one time gave an analogy. She said it's easier to steer a moving car,
Yeah.
and I love that. Right? You can make minor adjustments to a moving car, but if that car's sitting still, that minor adjustment just doesn't. You have to get so much effort to
Right.
turn the
Yeah.
wheels, right? And so keep rolling, right? Keep walking, keep hiking, take that next step, and you're gonna find the path. It's gonna make itself clear.
That's amazing. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
tell people that you can't course correct without starting the course.
Right.
So,
Right. So you don't know if you're going to Disney World just yet,
yeah.
but I know I'm going southeast for vacation,
Yeah.
right? So let's just pick that first,
Yeah, this
right?
is human nature to start overthinking
Yeah.
everything, especially when you don't know what the next step brings. We might want to turn
Yeah.
around and go back. We would have see all these other directions we could go, but you can't fix it. You can't go the right way unless you're going a way. Like you have to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
So,
I love my work with the CEOs in that regard, is the sense that you you can really get down in the weeds, right? You can really get down in the weeds and think you have to have all the answers, because everybody in a mid cap or a small business is turning to you and looking for
Yeah.
the answers
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, right? So forming that leadership team, trusting others, right? Letting go of some of your darlings that you've held on to for so long, and
Hmm.
letting somebody else do it maybe a little bit different way that's uncomfortable. And that's that path to growth that you actually really want. And you leave a legacy for your kids, or leave a legacy of a business, behind you. So it's just really exciting to hear the dreams, and then help them understand that they can step up out of the weeds. And
Yeah.
that's the time with me, or the time with the group can be that time where they step out of the weeds and go, yeah, if I get away from that for a second, I can rise above the weeds and maybe see the path a little
Yeah.
bit better,
What
climb a tree and look further down the road.
what is some advice? We'll end on this because I think we've gone our time.
Right. And thank you, by
I
the way.
told you I could keep going and going and going, but I have to stop.
Yeah. All right.
What is some advice you would give to someone that is considering, I don't know if I want to say pivoting, or maybe choosing their course, their own path, even if they
Yeah.
have been doing something for years, just like you've gone out on your own. I'm sure that wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm just doing it. Like,
Yeah.
so take some thought and some support from your family and, your friends. But
Yeah.
what is some advice you would give someone that is really feeling a pull to do something else, whether it's for a career or starting something like nonprofit or whatever? What would you tell them today?
Yeah, boy. Whew, man, what wouldn't I tell them? Um, how do you summarize this? Other than, it's almost like I want to ask a question, and I would be that curiosity has been beaten into me in coaching training. And what I'm curious of is a few things. How many, how much time do you think you have left?
Hmm.
Are you, maybe you're 25 and you feel like you got a long time left. Let me introduce you to a few parents that I know that have seen things cut short. You don't. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed someday. So start looking into it right now. That's what I would say. I would say do your due diligence. Don't just jump. You probably have
Right.
a family depending on you in some way, shape, or form, or friends or something else. You don't want to be just crazy, like follow your heart only. It's like, no,
Yeah.
God gave us a brain too,
Yeah.
and use that thing. So use your brain, but follow your heart and look into it and see, does that work for me? Interview people that have done it.
Yeah.
Talk to them about their journey, and you'll see how confident they are in it, that they've built it. I was always like, well, gosh, I can't build my own business. Who would buy from me?
Yeah.
Like, who? Nobody knows me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Who's Jay Larson, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, once I go out there and link up on LinkedIn and socials and calling and just meeting people and things like that, it's just, well, a lot of people, and I'm my goal right now is simply work through enough people to find the ones that need me.
Yep.
That's it. And there's gonna be a lot that don't, and it's okay. I'm not gonna judge. They're not worse off,
No.
because of not knowing
Yeah.
me
Mhm. You want
at
to
the
help
right
the people
time.
swimming
Yeah.
towards you, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Great way of putting it. Yeah. So um, go for it, but be smart.
All right, that's fantastic
Yeah.
advice. If
Yeah.
people want to get in touch with you, Jay, and I will put links in the show notes for
Sure.
everyone, but what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, I wish my website was done, and it is not. But you can reach out to me on a number of emails. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
It's Jay Larson. We can put my LinkedIn link in
Yeah.
there. There's lots of Jay Larsons in Minneapolis, let me tell you. So Jay Larson at Lights On, J at lightsoncc.com is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. And also through Vistage, the group I'm working with to form the CEO groups.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
yeah, that's probably the best way, LinkedIn, etc.
Yeah, that's how I got you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so fantastic. Well, thank you for reaching
Yeah.
out. I appreciate it, and I
Thank
love
you for
that.
your time
Yeah,
today. It was wonderful.
yeah,
I hope
yeah,
that
I love
others
talking with
follow
you.
you
Yeah,
and even just pick up on what you're doing or even look to support the nonprofit if nothing else. So thanks so much.
absolutely. Yeah, we always need help. Yeah, awesome. Take
Thanks. We'll
care.
talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Amanda. Thanks, everybody.